Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Thanks for joining us. Today, we'll talk about data science through Airbnb datasets. So agenda for today. First, we'll look at our speakers. Then we'll talk about a typical data lifecycle. Then we'll deep dive into Airbnb datasets. So we have 4 datasets which we'll be talking you through using our data science concepts. And also at the end, we'll give you a brief introduction to our data science program. So first about the speakers. My name is Minu. I am a data science tutor with Open Consulting. And today, I'm not the one who is going to speak, but the 3 of the students from our data science course. Sorry, not 3, 4. So this is the profile of 4 of our students. First, Santhosh. Santhosh is having 14 years of experience in IT industry. He worked as a presentation operator, graphics designer, a developer, and now he is trying to change his career to data science. He'll be talking us through how data can be extracted, cleansed for further analysis. Also, he'll deal with simple data analysis, which will give us very useful insights. Once Santhosh explain and extract the data, Vipul will then take us through data visualization. Vipul is having 16 years of experience in IT industry as a QA professional. Soon after data visualization, we'll look at data modeling, which will be handled by Sony. Sony was graduated in computer applications and worked as a data support engineer. Then Sony will pass the ball to Errol, who will be talking us through NLP or natural language processing. Errol was currently working as a senior IT professional and he is also having a lot of experience in IT industry. So let's jump into concept of data science lifecycle. Like any other software lifecycle, data science also follow a typical lifecycle. First, we have to define the problem. In our case, we are trying to identify useful information from Airbnb datasets. So for that, what should we have? We should have data. So that's the next step, data preparation. Once we have the relevant data, we need to look at the data and take only the necessary data which we need. That is what we'll be doing in feature extraction. In NLP project, which is mainly dealing with text analytics, the feature extraction will be different from a typical data science, which Errol will be taking us through. So once we get all the features which are required, features is nothing but the necessary information which we need from our data. We'll move on to data modeling. So data modeling is nothing but to a computer, you will be passing your data and what is the output you are looking from that particular data. With the help of algorithms, computer will learn the data and produce an output called model or a program. And that model will be using for further predictions. So once the modeling is done, we'll be having the model ready. Now what we do is we'll see like whether the model is ready for production. So that's where we'll be evaluating the results, which Sony will be dealing in a much enhanced way. So we will look at the model. If we are not happy with the results, we'll try to improve the models. Once the model is ready, we'll communicate the result to the stakeholders. And that's where a data science life cycle ends. So now let's look at Airbnb data. So this is the website from where we took our Airbnb data, and this data set is from the Airbnb hotels in London. There were 4 data sets and all of them were CSVs, comma separated files. So it was very easy to deal with those files. The first one, listing underscore summary, where we had summary information and metrics related to listing in London. And then we had listing.csv, which had the details. And then we had like calendar details and review details. So all related to the like listing we had in London. Now over to Santhosh for his useful insights on the 4 data sets which I have spoke about. Santhosh, over to you.
Thank you, Minu. Okay, my contribution to this project is data loading, data preparation, data cleansing, and finally draw some insights from the data using exploratory data analysis. As Minu discussed in previous slide, we are using 4 data sets and all are in CSV format, out of which I am mainly focusing on two data sets for my analysis. One is listing summary CSV file, and another one is listing CSV file. I used read CSV file, read CSV command from pandas library to load the data from CSV files. You can see the below screenshot. So it shows the first 5 records of listing summary data frame. Next slide, please. Okay, so for any data science project, understanding the data is very important. So it is better to have some domain knowledge so that we can draw better insights from the data. If you look at the listing summary data frame, there are 85,068 records and 16 columns, or you could say like 85,068 listings and 16 variables. The screenshot on the right, you can see all the variable names in the data frame. The next step is we need to understand the variables. So if you look at the bottom table and the data types, for example, ID, host ID, price, minimum night, etc., all are discrete numericals. The values in these variables are discrete. And similarly, like other variables like latitude, longitude, and reviews per month, these are continuous numerical. These values are in the values in these variables are in a range. And other variables like name, host name, neighborhood, and room types, these are categorical variables. And the values in these variables are in string format. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next step is data preparation and cleansing. So first we need to find, is there any missing data in the data frame? And then we need to address that missing information. The screenshot on the right, you can see like I've shown all the missing information. If you look at the neighborhood group, the percentage of missing is 100%. That means the value of this variable is missing in all records. So we can drop that column altogether. Similarly, if you look at the bottom, like there are around 23% values of missing for last review and reviews per month variables. So we need to fill this, we'll fill with some information for all this missing information. Also, we need to delete any duplicate rows if they exist. But in my data set, I don't have any duplicate rows. Next slide, please. And okay, so first we need to fill all the missing values, whether zeros or empty string, depending on the data type. On the screenshot on top right, you can see all the missing information is filled with either zeros and or empty strings. Next, the data type. If you look at the last review on the bottom screenshot, and the last review is an object. It's supposed to be in date format. So we need to convert that into date format as well. So that's 2 screenshots in the bottom that shows the information about the data frame before cleaning and after cleaning. So the screenshot on the left is before cleaning. The screenshot on the right is after cleaning. I will pause a few seconds here so you can observe the both screenshots and look at the places where the callouts are pointing. Okay, so we need to do the similar steps for the other data steps as other data sets as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so next step is we need to draw some insights from the data sets. So first get some statistical summary of all numerical variables. That means count, mean, standard deviation, minimum and maximum values, etc. Uh, then remove any outliers if there are any. For example, if you look at the screenshot on the below, and if you look at the price column in the bottom, the minimum value is 0. The price value for the listing cannot be 0, so we can remove that outlier. Also, if you look at the availability column, the minimum value is 0. That means some listings are not available for on any days in a year. So we can also remove that from the data. Also, if you look at the maximum value of the price, it says like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it doesn't look like right. Whereas the minimum value, the mean value is around 122, but the maximum value is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like this is arbitrary value or maybe the wrong data. So we can remove this outlier for better visualization. Next slide, please. Um, there are two important categorical variables. One is neighborhood and another one is the room type. So in the screenshots below, you can see the unique values for the neighborhood and room type. So there are 34 unique values for the neighborhoods and 4 unique values for the room type. So the room types are like entire home or apartment, private room, hotel room, and shared room. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I have all my data is processed and clean in clean format. Now I can draw some useful insights from the data. For example, I want to list the number of listings in each neighborhood. So you can see the screen result on the screenshot on the right. The highest listing are in Westminster. There are 9,588 listings are there. Similarly, the lowest listings are in Havering. Uh, I will pause a few seconds here. We can have a look at the result. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here I would like to know top 10 popular hosts. So we can decide. We can decide this based on the number of reviews. So the screenshot on the right displays the top 10 hosts. It also displays the number of reviews they have and their popularity index. And the popularity index is drawn from 0 to 1. Next slide, please. Uh, Here I want to know which hosts are running in multiple listings and where are they doing the business. So for display purpose, I am showing only the hosts who have more than 100 listings and their neighborhoods. Um, so you can see the list on the screenshot on right. You can see the number of listings for each host held and the list of neighborhoods where they are doing the business. Next slide, please. Okay, here I would like to know the availability of the particular property in a year. For example, I would like to know availability of RTN Bright London apartment in Zone 2. So the screenshot on the right shows the availability of this property in a year time on monthly wise. You can see month wise availability, price, and number of minimum number of nights. So like this, we can draw many insights from these data sites. Next slide, please. Okay, so well, this is end of my part in this project. So I'm handing over to my friend Vipul, who will be giving demo on the visualization part. Thank you. Over to Vipul.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Santhosh. For my part, as a data visualization, next slide, please. So, as we know, data visualization typically deals with the graphical representation of data. So, it is a form to display the data in a nice graph. It can be a different form: pie chart, bar charts, flow chart, so to depict the data. So my first presentation over here is pie chart showing London Airbnb market share according to room type. So basically, I'm trying to show room type with the help of the market share basically. So typically, with the help of Python query, if you focus on the left hand side, there is a Python query which I have given, which is showing the results. So main I have taken data set listing summary. As Santosh was given the 4 different categories of listings we have taken, the listing summary is the main which I am focusing on this. So London Airbnb market is categorized into 4 sections. Home apartment have the largest market share of 55.8%, if you see the graph, followed by the private rooms, which is 42.2%. So typically, if you see, the categories are mainly home market and private is capturing the more market share, which is roughly around 98%, leaving only 2% market share for shared and hotel rooms. So which is more popular mainly as per the availability, as per the room types in London Airbnb. So this is one. Next slide, please. So now my second focus on this is the graph depicting price of Airbnb as per the room type. So now I'm trying to portray here how I have done my analysis, and then on the basis of Python queries, I have taken this Airbnb pricing as per the room type with the different uh, uh, like shared room, private rooms, and then apartment and hotel rooms. So data is grouped by room type and sorted on price to reflect the median. Typically, so hotel rooms, if we see on the last, on the fourth over here, the fourth plot, hotel rooms are mostly in price range of 2 to 5 and are more expensive than shared rooms, which comes in price range of 50. So if you see this first plot, which is in the blue color with shared room, it's the starting range of 50. So that is the price range, and the maximum price range for hotel rooms are going roughly in the range of 225 till 250. So to hire a private room in London, it costs roughly around 60 when compared to entire home or apartment, which is approximately in the range of 170. So on the basis of this analysis, this graph is coming on the basis of the data from listing summary, and this analysis has been done, which I'm trying to show with the help of this particular graph. So this is how the comparison is done on the basis of different room types. Yeah, next slide, please. So again, one more category which I am trying to portray over here is box plot graph, which is showing room type availability. So when I say availability, I mean availability of different categories of room throughout the year in a span of 365 days. So if we see the fourth plot over here, the fourth graph, so it is shared room availability is 75 days as per the median. So this particular line which is showing over here, the highlighted, is the median. So which is like availability for the shared room is 75 days, which means if you take out those 75 days, roughly around 295 days, it is occupied. So only availability is 75 days, which is not non-occupancy. Similarly, if you go, most of the hotel rooms are available 320 days in a span of complete year, which means the different reasoning can be, okay, hotel rooms are more expensive if you go from my previous slide. So it is in the range of more. So people are going more into that. So availability obviously is more. So 320 days it is available as per the data we analyzed. So the third, if you see, entire home, apartment, private rooms are less available because the demand is more. So the more preferred choices are apartment, private rooms and shared rooms because they are obviously cheap. So that is the kind of analysis I was trying to show, and I have given a bit of Python query through which this data is generated from the data sets provided to us. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is again one more interesting way of trying to show the data with the help of scatter plot graph. So a scatter plot graph on the x-axis, if you see, I am trying to show number of reviews, and on the y-axis neighborhood. So neighborhood is nothing but the different council areas through which the lifting has been done. So typically, as Santhosh was referring, it is around 30 plus different areas on which we are trying to analyze the data. And the y-axis is showing the number of reviews which people have given over a span of. So data typically when we are doing analysis, the data set was since last November 2019 till date, till November of this year 20. So it is typically a span of 1 year. So this plot showing data of neighborhood versus number of reviews received. So as we can see, if I want to bring your focus on Camden Town, which is something here, if you focus the last one, so 716 reviews in one span of year. So it is the maximum reviews which people have given on the Camden Town, the properties which has been there, they are using mostly, and the maximum number of reviews has been given on the basis of that. Similarly followed, if we see the second last column over here, which is 600 range, right? So you can see those plots over here, the dots, which represent Hillingdon, Westminster and Islington. Neighborhood areas which have scored around in the range of 600 plus customer reviews. So with the help of this data, I'm trying to portray what is the most council area or the most neighborhood area which is getting the maximum reviews. Yeah. Next slide, please. Again, this is typically box plot for pricing. So here I'm trying to show based on my analysis, okay, what are the price, typical price. So based on the Python query, again, we have taken a price range from starting from 0 till 12,000 it is going in the range. So typically if you see, Boxplot shows one extreme value known as outliers. As Santhosh was also referring, we need to get rid of the outliers. But before that, we need to make sure, okay, with the help of typically if we see data.log, it is going in the range of above 12,000, which is giving an idea, it is something error data. So we need to handle this error data. So if you see, I have highlighted this record. So when we say outliers, what is outliers basically? It is observation that lies an abnormal distance from other values. So if you see, a usual price is between 50 and 280, which will come more evident in the next slide actually. Next slide, please. Yeah, in this one, this is very clear because the previous slide was showing mainly the different range and the outliers which was there. So which I have taken out in the next slide, and we get rid of that error data and then trying to portray the perfect range in the next slide. Yeah, so now taking off the outliers and showing box plot with proper price range. So it is quite evident, this is the box, right? So in the box, starting price range from 50 onwards, which is going up till the mark of 280. So this is the maximum mark. So on this typical graph, you can see on the box plot, this is the medium line. So median price for any room in London, Airbnb, as per this box plot is around 80 quids. So that is the price range. So this is quite a clear idea after we get rid of all the anomalies in the previous data analysis. So this is the final one, which is giving you clear idea with the help of this graph. To the next slide. Yeah, so that is how there can be number of graphs which comes under analysis and data visualization, but I have given a high level overview what can be the different, and it can be then it goes into the next part, which is data modeling, which my colleague Sony will take over. Over to you, Sony. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipul. Hello, everyone. The first step to do the data modeling is to analyze and prepare the data. As Vipul explained in his visualization presentation, that in Airbnb listing summary data, I'm also taking the Airbnb listing summary data set. Here we look at the price variable, the data distribution in the price variable through the box plot. You can figure out that we have to remove the outliers, as Vipul explained, and keep the price threshold. I'm keeping the price threshold of the listing up until the price of 300. For my data modeling, I'm taking the listing of price from 0 to 300. When you look at the bottom of the screen here, that I have taken the price, I've created a data frame that is the price is ranging from 0 to 300. So I'm creating a new data set here for my data modeling. Next screen, Minu. Okay, now here we have to do the data cleaning for the data modeling. As Santhosh explained, the neighborhood column is all empty. So I'm going to drop the neighborhood column here, the name, host name, and last review. I'm going to drop this one as well because I'm taking the numerical data for my data modeling. And if you see at the bullet point 2, I'm dropping the neighborhood column as well. The reason I'm dropping the neighborhood column is because the neighborhood column, the data type is text data. So here in this modeling, I'm going to use the latitude and longitude, which is a numerical value, and this figures out the location of the listing. So we don't need the neighborhood column. I'm dropping that column too. So and in the numerical categories, the room type, the room type is having the categorical value, which is the text value again. So the text type, room type, hotel room, private room, shared room. So I'm going to convert each type of the entire room to 1, hotel room to 2, private room to 3, shared room to 4, and putting all these values in a separate column, room type, which is the numerical value now. So now the column room type is ready to, the original column, which was like text one, is ready to drop. I'll pause for a second. You can have a look of the Python codes here I'm using to drop and to create and assign the values of the room type to the numerical values. Next slide, Meena. Okay, now the original room type is ready for dropping. I have dropped that now. And now for the final view, let's look at the data types of all the columns that I'm going to use for my data modeling. So on the left-hand side, you can see that all the column names, and on the right-hand side, they're all the numerical values. Now it's ready for my data modeling. Next slide, Meena. Okay, what is data modeling? Data modeling is a process of designing and developing a data system. That system, by taking all the information, to develop that system, we have to take all the information that is needed to support the business of the organization. So here, when all the data is ready, what we do is we split the data into two parts. You can see in this flow chart here, on the middle part of the chart, that we split the data into two parts, the training and the testing data. Training data is then given to the machine, and using an algorithm, the computer finds the patterns in the training data. The output of the training process is the machine language. machine learning model. It's a model. The output is a machine learning model. So which is used to take the predictions. That model is used to make the predictions or the input data or the training data that we have passed through the computer. Training data is used to build the model, and testing data is to test the model's performance. So in the bottom of the flow chart here, we input the data. When you can see, we input the data to train the computer to build a model, and to this model we pass the to this model, which is the output. We pass the testing data to make the predictions, and that's how the model is developed to make the predictions of the data. Next slide, Meena. Okay, here in Airbnb listing summary data set, we have all the required data, all prepared and ready for my data modeling. You can see the sample of the data that with all the columns, and you can see that all the data is made into numerical. I've taken all the numerical data. And when you see to the right-hand side on the last column, you can see the room types are all changed to the numbers. For input data, we are taking all these columns on the top where you see except the price. All these columns are going to be our features, which are the independent values or the X values where we are going to use further as a features. The output is going to the price, which is called a label, or it is also called a dependent value. This value, the price value, is dependent on all the other independent values or the columns you can see in this table. Because the data type of price is continuous, we are going to choose a regression algorithm. So the simplest type of the regression algorithm is a linear algorithm, linear regression algorithm. So we'll be using the linear regression model here for our Airbnb to create a model to predict the price. I'll pause a second here. You can have a look of the table with the columns. Next slide, Meena. Okay. So here, for the linear regression model, what we are doing using the Python code, the linear regression algorithm, we are calling the function linear regression, and using that function, we are going to create a model. Here, first we are assigning the values, X values and Y values. Here, X will be our feature. This is all the columns except the price, and Y will be the labels, which is the price, which is a dependent value. And using the split command, you can see the split command here. And we can see that the 80% of the 80% or the data we are going to give it to X train and 20% to test the data. So 80% to Y train and 20% to Y test data. And we are fitting the train data into the we are sending the train data. That means here the code we are using the fit. What it does is we are passing the train data through the linear regression algorithm, and that train data is passed through the linear regression algorithm, and a model is been built. Once the model is built, then we'll check the score. So the score should range from 0 to 1. The closer the score to 1, the better the model. Then we pass the X test through this model to make the predictions. Here you can see that the model has given the score performance of 43%, which is not very good for predicting the price. As I mentioned that it should be closer to 1, so 43% is not a good score. So for this, we have got two options. whether to modify the parameters in the model to get the better score or use the complex model. So the complex model I'm choosing here in my next screen will be the random forest regression model. I'll pause for a second here. You can have a look of the code. Next screen, Minu. The random forest regression model. So I'm using the other model for the better score. Random forest regression model also uses a supervised learning algorithm like linear regression model. So for regression, this model uses a technique that combines the predictions from multiple machine learning algorithms to make an accurate prediction than a single model. So here also we assign the values X, which is all the features, and then assign the values to Y, which is all our labels, and then split the data to train and test 80 and 20%, and then fit the data, the training data into the random forest regression algorithm. Once a model is built, then we'll check the score as we have done the same before. And the score here you can see is 94%. So this is very good prediction for the prediction of the price that we are going to get. So this is the random forest model. This is the better model for the price prediction here for the Airbnb data set that we are using, as it is giving the 94% accuracy. So if, for example, if we are giving 10 listings, we will get at least 9 correct predictions. So this is how we build a model for the price for price prediction in this Airbnb. I hope you got the information about the modeling here. And now I pass on next to the very interesting topic that is NLP. Over to Errol. Thank you.
Thank you, Sony, and hi, everyone. I'm going to take you through NLP at a high level first, just go with the basic. So can we move to the first slide of NLP? Yeah, some of the examples we can have is Siri, Alexa, social media analytics, sentimental analysis. So let's go. I'll just give you a brief, a little bit high level. I know this is going a little bit off topic at my go, but it's for those who are want to know more of NLP. So in Alexa, everybody has Alexa at home. So how it works. So first thing is natural language processing is a machine learning technique from computer science that uses algorithm to analyze textual data. As a human, we speak various languages. It could be English, Spain, etc. But a computer native language known as machine code or machine language is largely incomprehensible to most people. So at your device lower level, communication occurs not with words, but through millions of zeros and ones that produces logical actions. For example, an Alexa is built on NLP, converts the speech into words, sounds, and ideas. So the recording of speech is sent to Amazon servers to be analyzed more efficiently. It breaks down the order of whatever we say into individual sounds and consult the database containing various words, pronunciations to find which is most closely corresponds to the combination of individual sounds. It then identifies most important words to make sense of the task to carry out corresponding functions. For instance, in Alexa, notice a word, say sport or baseball, it comes or opens the sport app. So let's go back to the Airbnb, which we've been talking about. So we move to the next slide, please. Okay, here I was going and looking after the feature extraction part of the data set Airbnb before it goes to the data modeling. So there are few, say, steps over here. So first is the tokenization. Then we have cleaning of the data. Then we remove stop words and vectorization. So what tokenize means is like, for instance, in Airbnb, we had reviews. So we wanted to find how, the reviews are they good or bad? So to analyze that, because normally uh, customers, they write reviews in sentence, which, has, again, it's a normal language which computer don't understand. So we have to do some analysis on the data. So first step we do is we convert those sentences into words. Uh, Basically, like if it's a description, full passage, there are various sentences. We break first into sentences, then we break it into, say, words. So typically we start tokenizing, then later on we do cleaning, as in removing most often words which comes like off, it, or something which are not required. So we try and remove those stop words and clean unwanted, irrelevant data from the data set. So we make it more clearer for analysis. So let's move to the next slide, please. So here's the code, which is Python. Of course, we see over here in the code where we do tokenizing, data cleaning, and we remove the stop words and prepare it for vectorization. So if you could move on the other slide, please. Next slide. Okay. We have added, after we ran that code, if you see, there's a new column which is a little bit clearer with the words which they have separated. If you see at this side, so this is now from the comments which the customer has given here. It is making a little bit more clearer by removing and cleaning some words out, removing some things. So now if you see, it's a little bit in word form. So after we do this, okay, move on the other slide, please. Okay, we do vectorization. Now, this is a process where we convert the normal words into zeros and ones using the Google pre-trained model. Each word is converted into 300 dimensional vector here. So we have used Google's pre-trained model. We don't have to create the model from the scratch out here. So after we do this one, if you move on to the next slide. So we have taken a word, for example, from the review, say food. So if you see, that's converted into 300 dimensional vector corresponding to the word food here. So can we move on the other slide? Okay, after the completion of the vectorization, if you see, the column is all converted into the numbers. So now these numbers are then moved to the next level of data modeling, which Sony explained earlier. Can you move again to the next one? Okay, so I think that's it from my side, actually. After converting it to the data to zeros and ones, which you called, I'm going to move it to pass the ball to Minu to take it from there.
Thanks, Errol, and thanks everyone else. And so till now, what we have dealt is, so we saw the data, we cleaned it, and then we did some visualization. After that, we were happy with the data, and then we started with modeling. Once the modeling is done, we are good to go. So in some projects, it will be just the first part. In some other projects, we'll just deal with visualization. In some part, it's combination of all of it. And once we do NLP, so this is the only difference between NLP and other typical projects like I mentioned. So once we get it in number format, then these numbers will be passed on to any model for prediction. So that's why we didn't want to repeat it. Okay, so that's all about Airbnb data demo. And now we'll tell about our data science program in short. So we are having a 8 weeks data science program. It includes live 5 hours call during weekends on your, we'll be discussing on the time and then we'll be planning the hours. And we'll be having one-to-one meetings with all the students so that we know the progress. And it's weekly modules and it's really easy to learn things in each week. So we'll be giving details of what you'll be learning in each week in advance so you can go through it, and when you come for the class you are ready. And then we take the sessions in Python because Python is the most used, and we have a wider like developer community. So whenever you are stuck in one problem or you are encountering an issue, you can search in Google, you'll get thousands of solutions which people have already dealt with. So that's why we choose Python. And this is our structure. So we are having like 8 weeks. So the first weeks we'll be dealing with Python fundamentals and statistics. And once you are thorough with it, we'll be doing some exploratory data analysis, which Santhosh was talking about, and Vipul also. And once it's done, we'll be having a mini project wherein you will be applying all the techniques which you have learned in these topics. Once you're, so we'll be having a mini project, so we'll be giving data set for you guys, you will be working on your own, and on that particular weekend you'll come back and we'll be presenting for 10 minutes. So we'll get to see like what others has done along with your topic, so we'll learn a lot from there. And then we'll be having deep learning on machine learning techniques. So you'll be there learning machine learning algorithms, regression or classification like Sony mentioned. And then we'll be learning natural language processing. So the one which Errol was telling, so we'll be, once we are done with that particular week, we'll be having a project like what we are showing now. So in week 7, again, you'll be dealing with real data sets and you'll be working on it and present it. And then we'll be looking at deep learning. That is where we have the neural networks coming into picture. And in all these weeks, you'll be having assignments and hands-on. So you'll be having all the interactive sessions. And yeah, so that's about the course details. And the next batch we are planning to start on 13th of December or 9th of January. So this will be talking with our potential students, and then we'll be deciding on the dates. So the last and interesting part, any questions? I hope I have answered most of the questions in the chat, but if you have any more questions, please. And if you are interested in this particular course, then what you can do is in the chat, you can put your phone numbers and name so that we can contact you.
That was a really great session, Meenu and Ramya, and also by all of the students of the first batch. Really appreciate your time, guys. If anybody has got any question, feel free to ask it in the Zoom chat, or if you're hearing it live, then put it on the YouTube live chat. So we have few questions which are coming on from YouTube. I'll probably take that first, and then we can cover the questions from Zoom. One of the question is asked by Amit Sarkar. He's asking about, is this code available on GitHub, and what other softwares would we need for collecting data and visualizing?
Yeah, thanks. So like I mentioned in the Zoom chat, the code is done in Python, and the tool we have used is GitHub for version control, and the other tool which everyone has shown in their screenshots are from Jupyter Notebook. So yes, we are using Jupyter Notebook, GitHub, and the language is Python.
Um, I see, Minu, you have already answered a lot of questions on Zoom chat. I'll just pick up a couple of them which are more specific towards the utilization on data science. And one of the question from Manal was about what is Panda. It was quite a basic question, but really worth it. And a follow-up question on that from Dimas was how to analyze the right visualization for any type of data. It's more coming back to data visualization. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Pandas is a Python library. So there are like a lot of libraries in Python. So library is nothing but you can think like someone has written a code. So adding two numbers. So that is maybe frequently used by many people. So what someone has done is he has created a function and he put like, okay, he defined a function where will be able to add numbers. So next time, instead of you writing from the scratch, you can just call that function. So what library is having is it is having a combination of such functions and put it and published it for public people like us. So we can go and just take it and use it. So one of the most common or two of the most common libraries in Python, Python will be Pandas and NumPy. NumPy deals with numbers. So numerical calculation you can do with NumPy, and Pandas is what we have used in most of our screenshots. Like you see, like PD dot, whatever came in our screenshots, all are dealing with Pandas. So Pandas is used for data manipulation. So your data, like our data sets are in CSV form. So we called it into our notebook using Pandas. And then it was converted into data frame, Pandas data frame. So once we convert it into Pandas data frame, we can do a lot of operations on that particular data frame, adding a column, manipulating a column, filtering, sorting, all the things you can do using Pandas. And on the next question, like what are the right visualization tools for different type of data? So that is where we deal with the data visualization module, which we talk about in our course. So what we do is like the data is in two different forms. Either it will be numeric or categoric. And again, there is like a few more classification into data types. So numerical data will be dealt in a totally different way compared to categorical data. A few of the examples I have put in the chat. So for numerical data, usually we'll be going for scatter plot or line plots. And for categorical data, we'll be looking at bar graph, histograms, or maybe like box plots. All of this you have seen in Vipul's visualization.
Thank you, Minu. There's one question which is more career oriented. So somebody who is not coming from data science field and they want to enter into data science field, what would you recommend to them apart from the course which you have already mentioned? So if anybody is interested in the course, definitely put down your mobile number so that we can reach you. So Minu, would you like to talk about how can somebody enter and enter the field of data science?
Yeah. So this question was in mind in four of the students who has explained about the data science core concepts. So all of them were very new to data science. So our course, I'm not talking about our course alone, but most of the courses in data science, how they prepare their materials is like, so in engineering or in MTech or any other courses, you have a bachelor's and then you do the master's. But in data science, we don't have such joy. So what we have to do is like you learn a lot of things. First, the main thing you need to know is a programming language. So that is a must thing. So you can learn by like, you don't have to sit and learn programming language first and then start with data science. But my suggestion will be like, start learning data science, parallel you will be learning the programming language. So that's what the students learned here. So none of them were experts in Python, or they didn't know Python before they joined our course. And during our course, we started giving small tips, and we gave Python fundamentals training first, and then a little bit on like assignments also were very small, and then we increased the complexity of the code which we were trying to give it to them. And all these things we learned by hands-on. So that's what I suggest. Like if you are really interested in data science is not easy, but it's really interesting and exciting, and you'll learn a lot of things. But just keep a track of it and learn it and do hands-on. So hands-on is the only thing. So no prerequisite like that. You, if you know programming language, any programming language as such, it's very easy to start data science. And statistics fundamentals, like Saraswati mentioned, like is it required? It is good to have, but you can learn when you go, so that should be fine. So
Okay. And a further question on career into data science is to what is the potential right now because of COVID-19 and things being slow in other industries? Are you seeing a similar kind of behavior in data science field as well? Or how is the career opportunities?
um, it is totally different from other areas, because like development, all those things, they are trying to put new things into it. And in all the industries, the job opportunities has slowed down, and same thing applies to data science. But compared to other opportunities, data science opportunities are still higher. uh, because now people think like, okay, whatever task we do, we need to optimize things and increase the productivity and all those areas. And that's where data science come into picture. So that's why we are not seeing the trend of declining of job opportunities in other sectors in data science. So in data science, it's still a continuous progress in hiring. So it is a good thing which is happening in data science area.
Thank you, Meenu. If anybody is interested in asking a question directly, feel free to unmute or just raise your hand so that you can ask the questions directly. It doesn't has to be written in chat, so that's more interactive. This is more of a career oriented session wherein you are learning a new tool, technology, you're learning how data science works, but it can help you in further your career as well. Even if you're looking to become a senior data scientist, as Meenu and Ramya are already working as senior data scientists in UK, and they've got quite good experience. And also for other people whom you have heard today, they have got quite good knowledge. They have learned a lot of things in the last 2 months, and now they are sharing up on this forum. So just feel free to ask any questions if anybody has got. Let's keep it interactive.
And most of the people will be having clear doubt in mind when they think about changing the career to data science. But our 4 students who were having very rich experience in IT industry, but not in data science, they took that courage and learned things. So if you want to ask any questions to them on their experience, how personally they learned things and how difficult or how easy was it, you can ask.
There's a question from Rahul. He is asking, I'm experienced Python programmer, so interested in learning only machine learning and NLP part. So would you like to cover that?
So Python is covered in first week. And along with that, we are covering statistics fundamental. So statistics fundamental onwards. So all the things are on data science. So Rahul, if you can give your contact details in the chat, we'll contact you.
And everybody, if you want to send your phone number, you don't have to send it to everyone. You can just send it to Minu directly, the host. There's another question coming from YouTube is, what about artificial intelligence doing data analysis? So this is not programmer or analyst doing the data analysis. It's the code which is doing the data analysis. Is it useful to learn those algorithms?
So interesting question. So last week I saw a post where it was telling like, well, AI is, has started writing code. So what about all the software developers and maybe in future testers? So it is a thing which is gonna come, but AI, it can't learn by itself. Someone has to teach it first, and then it will be starting to work on. So there is a lot of areas AI is still researching on. So it takes some time to reach there. So maybe in under 10 years, maybe there won't be any manual developers. It will be all done by AI, but we have to see. But humans are required, so there needs some kind of manual look on all these areas. So AI, I'm not sure like when AI will be able to do the proper data analysis without the help of human.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the projects we are working in Open Consulting. It's more called as reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
Basically, neural networks are learning by looking at the behavior that's ever changing. So things like when the market trend changes, at that point, the artificial intelligence is doing data analysis, and it automatically makes the right suggestions of the products which are currently hot and things which are more in demand. So artificial intelligence is doing a lot of data analysis on itself. I mean, and it is modifying the models which are producing the output from that. With that, we are close to an hour of this session. Unless we have any further question specifically, if anybody is interested in learning directly from Minu and Ramya, they are starting the next batch in mid-December and another batch in mid-January. So feel free to reach out to them. You have got the contact details over here on the presentation. You can reach out directly to Open Consulting or straight to Minu and Ramya. You can drop your phone number over here so that we can reach you back as well. And then we can have a discussion openly. Is there any last minute thing to add, Minu?
Not really. Like data science is emerging technology, and also like it's getting huge and huge in coming years. And I got a mail from recruiter on Friday, and he was telling me this, that in January, a lot of data science projects are going to come. So he was asking me like whether I'm interested in new opportunities or not. So he was telling me this, that there are a lot of projects in pipeline, irrespective of having Brexit and pandemic situation. Still, companies are trying to hire data scientists, junior data scientists, data scientist or data analyst who is having practical exposure. They are not talking about industrial exposure. So that's what he was telling me. So data science platform is available for us. So let's see.
Thanks a lot, Minu. And we'll just keep the Zoom call open for a couple of more minutes for people to interact and probably reach out if they're interested in the course.
Yeah. So shall I stop the live streaming then?
Yeah, probably.